A pleasant day, everyone. This is Hannah Marie Alpaiba.
And this is Erlyn May Plaza.
And for today's video, we will be going to present to you about the spoken versus written grammar.
Before we start our proper discussion, let me read to you first our lesson objectives. First, explain the meaning of spoken and written grammar. Second, identify the characteristics spoken and written grammar. And last, compose sentences using spoken and written grammar.
We all know that grammar is a system of rules that allow us to structure sentences. In other words, grammar provides the rules for common use of both spoken and written language so we can more easily understand each other. So now, let's talk about spoken versus written grammar. Spoken grammar is a means to express ideas and information. It is informal, natural, and flexible in its word order.
Written grammar is typically more formal, complex, and intricate than spoken grammar. It is often grammatically correct and may contain long sentences and complex tenses. When you say written grammar, it includes elements such as spelling, punctuation, capitalization, syntax, and sentences structure, all of which are used to convey meaning clearly and effectively in written communication.
In this video, we are going to identify the characteristics of spoken grammar as well as the written grammar. In spoken grammar, we have contractions, ellipses, heads and tails, fillers, back channels, and phrasal chunks. First, we have contractions. Contractions are often used in spoken language but are less common in written language. Contractions are unique type of words that combines two or more other words in a shortened form, usually with an apostrophe. So here are some of the examples of contractions. What about with these words? Do you think that these words are considered as contractions? Of course, they are considered as contractions. They are called informal contractions. They are shortened forms of other words and phrases in English. However, they do not use apostrophe. They are like slang, and slang is very common in American English and is used as an informal way of talking. Ellipses. In linguistics, ellipsis means leaving out words rather than repeating them unnecessarily. The following example showcases sentences with no ellipses and sentences with ellipses. As you can see, the items that are left out are in brackets. In fact, when we use ellipses appropriately, no one thinks we have left out anything, and ellipsis is normal and very common, especially in informal conversation. Next, you have headers. Headers are placed at the beginning. It can consist of a noun phrase or noun phrases or whole clauses.
Here's an example of header in a sentence.
Tails, also known as right dislocation. These are comments that are added at the end of a phrase.
Here's an example of tails in a sentence.
So headers and tails are common in speaking but very uncommon in writing. People use headers to emphasize or point at what is important by mentioning it first, and to make complex utterances easier to process by breaking them into two parts. It's not always clear why people use tails. The obvious explanation is that you begin your utterance with a pronoun, and then you feel that you need to add the full noun phrase or clause later to avoid confusion. Next, you have fillers. Fillers is an apparently meaningless word, phrase or sound that marks a pause or hesitation in speech. It is also known as pause, filler, or hesitation form.
Here are some examples of fillers. We have filler sounds, filler phrases, and filler words. So these are commonly used in informal conversations.
Back channels. In linguistics, a back channeling during a conversation occurs when one participant is speaking and another participant interjects response to the speaker. A back channel response can be verbal, non-verbal, or both.
Examples of back channeling includes expressions such as yeah, okay, right, and I see.
Phrasal chunks. Phrasal chunks are groups of words that can be found together in language. They can be words that always go together, such as fixed collocations, or that commonly do, such as certain grammatical structures that follow rules. We use chunks like you know what I mean, I know what you're saying, to check and show understanding between the speaker and listener. We use you see as a discourse marker when we are explaining something. It shows that we are saying new information for the listener. Next, we use chunks like having said that and saying that to show that we are going to say next is in contrast to what we have just said.
Now, let's discuss about written grammar. There are 5 characteristics of written grammar. First is syntax, second punctuation, third vocabulary usage, fourth proofreading, and last formality. Syntax refers to the structure of sentences and it's more important in written language than spoken language. In writing, clear and well-structured sentences are essential for conveying meaning effectively. So when we say syntax, it refers to the set of rules that dictate the structure and order of words in a sentence or phrase to create grammatically correct statement.
An example of syntax in a sentence is, the cat sat on the mat. In this sentence, the subject cat comes before the verb sat, and the object mat comes after the verb, which is a typical structure for an English sentence. If we were to rearrange the syntax of this sentence, it would change its meanings. On the mat sat the cat. In this case, the object mat comes before the subject cat, and the verb sat, creating a different syntax and a different meaning to the sentence.
So, punctuation plays a critical role in writing grammar, helping to convey meaning and to indicate pauses and emphasis. So, punctuation refers to the use of marks and symbols in writing to clarify meaning, indicate pauses, and organize thought.
Example of punctuation is the period, which is used to indicate the end of a sentence. For example, I went to the store to buy some milk. In this sentence, the period marks the end of the statement and shows that the thought is complete.
Vocabulary usage in written language often requires a wider range of vocabulary and more formal style than spoken language. When you say vocabulary usage, it refers to the way words are chosen and employed to express ideas and convey meaning. It involves selecting the appropriate words for a particular context and using them in a way that accurately reflects the intended message.
An example of vocabulary usage can be seen in the following sentence. The elderly woman was ambling down the street, enjoying the warm sunshine. In this sentence, the writer uses specific vocabulary choices to paint a clear picture in the reader's mind. The word elderly conveys that the woman is older, while ambling suggests a slow, leisurely pace. The word enjoying adds a positive connotation to the woman's action, and warm sunshine creates a sense of comfort and relaxation.
Proofreading in written language is often subjected to more rigorous editing and proofreading processes than spoken language. In order to ensure accuracy and clarity, proofreading is more on process of carefully reviewing a written text to check for errors in grammar, spelling, punctuation, and formatting. It is an important step in the writing process as it helps to ensure that a piece of writing is clear, concise, and error-free.
An example of proofreading can be seen in the following sentence. The cat was sitting on its mat, and its paws were neatly folding beneath it. In this sentence, one might check for errors such as spelling mistakes. Example, its is the passive pronoun and it is the construction. Grammatical errors, for example, incorrect verb tense, and punctuation errors, for example, missing or misplaced commas. In this particular sentence, the use of its instead of its is a common mistake that can easily be missed if not carefully proofread.
Formality in written language is generally more formal than spoken language. It is used in a variety of settings including academic writing, professional documents, and published works. So formality refers to the level of politeness, professionalism, and seriousness conveyed through language and tone of a written or spoken communication. So the level of formality used can vary depending on the context and audience and can range very informal to very formal.
Formality can be seen in the following sentence. I am writing to inform you that the deadline for the project has been extended by 1 week. In this sentence, the language used is relatively formal with a polite and professional tone. The writer uses I am writing to start the sentence, which is a common formal phrase used in business correspondence. The use of inform rather than tell or let you know it is also more formal. The writer has used the deadline for the project has been extended instead of we've given you time or the deadline's been pushed back. All of these elements together create a formal tone that is appropriate for professional communication.
Here are some key points that you need to know about spoken versus written grammar. Aside from form, the distinction between the two is that spoken grammar is far less rigid than written grammar. This is because spoken grammar is spontaneous, therefore it is possible that it might be grammatically inaccurate or lack word structure.
Written grammar, on the other hand, is more ordered, more grammatical, and really conforms to customary rules and grammar. Also, there are some grammatical structures that only exist in written grammar, making it more rigorous than spoken grammar.
In addition, both spoken and written grammar is important in their own ways, and both are valuable in different contexts.
Good communication skills often require a mastery of both spoken and written grammar.